It's true. I feel a little morose today. I just feel like I'm wasting my. It's not like an ego thing. It's not like I'm wasting my talent, like I'm so special. Nothing like that. Just, like was said earlier, there's so much propaganda. Like, what can you say about it that's interesting? Because if I don't want to say, if I'm not going to say anything interesting, then what distinguishes me? What are we doing here? Right? It's difficult. The propaganda is just so stupid. They just say things. It's not. Kyle Kalinske has been having the same issue. I think it's a good sign, right? As a person, for myself and Kyle Kalinske, where I think it speaks a little bit to your authenticity if this is something that can afflict you, because it suggests that you try to engage in analysis and you're not just a propagandist. Because a propagandist never runs out of anything to say, right? They would just say like the same lines over and over and over and over and over. Oh, so and so lied. Oh, so and so lied. Oh, this person did a good. This person did, like, you would just say things. And I could do that, and there's nothing wrong with doing that necessarily. You're trying to do like analysis, I guess. You have to consistently clash against misinformation. It's not even clashing really. It's just it feels like you're in a schoolyard and like you're running around recess or whatever, and there's that one kid in your class who just lies all the time, but not even in ways that matter or in ways that are consequential. He just says anything. Yeah, Kevin. And at first, like the first few times, Kevin just randomly lies about that stuff. You feel a bit of a thrill in debunking it, right? So like Kevin says that he was here when this thing happened. Well, no, he wasn't. He was over there. And I can do this because I can like remember when Susie said that she saw him over by the water fountain, and that doesn't make the timeline doesn't line up or whatever. But after like the 500th time he said something that's just like meaninglessly incorrect, there's no longer any thrill because there's no game or like objective in the lying. There's no, I guess, like interesting component to it. It's just saying stuff. So Kevin just keeps lying. I don't know. I mean, I figure a lot of what I'm going to be doing in the lead up to the election and after it is covering news, which I normally do. But right now the news is mostly about stuff people have said, whereas soon the news is going to be more about stuff people are doing, which is more interesting to me at the very least, because we can talk strategy and response. Not that I have any power, but, as opposed to like, oh, Trump lied again. Okay, sure, fine, right. But like, soon it's going to be more interesting stories like Trump supporter shoots up polling station. And that's, that's a headline grabber. Yeah, that's not good news. You think we're getting good news in the next month? Even if Kamala Harris wins, it's not going to be good news. We're going to have to deal with months and months and months of their attempt to overturn the election. May you live in peak content times. So true. So true. Why do you think people seek out sensationalist news rather than factual news? I think the problem with factual news, like just flat factual reporting, I think the main problem with it is that so many bits of news are pointing to the same underlying problem that if you're even remotely politically aware, you already know the solution to, and it's just not happening. Like, 500,000 stories you hear about schools being underfunded or climate change happening. And so you can keep the story like, oh, now the Amazon River dry, now 57 hurricanes, da da da. And it's like, okay, are we going to do anything about it? And then if we're not, what's the point in the news? Like, genuine question. Again, this is what I said earlier about the feeling that you should provide people with information, not being morally neutral. What is the point in learning about any of it if nothing is done about it? Who cares that teachers are struggling to pay for school supplies that they use to teach our children? Who cares that, the Amazon river's dried up or whatever, if you're not going to do anything about it? I thought the point of providing the information was that being educated about it would help you do something about it. But in many cases, like, the solution is not only so obvious, but so like there's such an industry in not addressing it. People have gotten so complacent. Why don't you do more media analysis? Kind of opened the stream talking about anime for 40 minutes. But also, we're coming up on an election. Hence jaded young educated people. Well, that's one of the reasons why I have lately been repeating so much the like, these people need to be arrested, like democracy can't survive this, because I want to be clear, like, prescriptively, it's not just about looking at Republicans doing a bad thing and describing that it's bad and then leaving it at that. Like, there are solutions to this, and the solution is it should be illegal to destroy the country by lying. I've seen people say that a lot recently. Vosh should do more media analysis like he used to, and they usually just mean watch more Ben Shapiro videos. Yeah, but it's like you get bored. You get bored with that. You do. I've done. It's like, oh, we're watching the video. I mean, I enjoyed the Hassan videos recently, but then you watch, like, oh, there's a YouTube pundit, Republican pundit, who lies. Wow, it's the same lies you hear anyway. It's not just Ben Shapiro. It's all of it. Oh, I can't believe how audacious the lie from this content creator is. They all talk like that now, on every level. Whoa, you're telling me this person's an open neo-Nazi who frequently lies? Get in line, mother. Put the fries in the bag. You're not special. What about leftist videos? Those tend to be more interesting, but right now I'm not really keyed in on the like, lefty infighting bit, not when we're so close to an election. And then people are like, oh, well, what about critiquing liberals? And then I point to the fact that when I put out a YouTube video about Israel, it gets like half the views of me talking about Trump. I'm sorry, if you want me critiquing the liberal institution, their complicity in what's going on in Gaza and Lebanon and the West Bank right now is a pretty huge part of it. You don't want to hear me talk about the same problems 500 times in a row, do you? Another segment about how Israel bad. You know how I feel about Israel. My positions are out there. They're straightforward. It's the same problem as before. What's the point in learning something if nothing gets done with the knowledge? It becomes worthless knowledge in a lot of cases. It's not like you're reading a book and the knowledge enriches you as a person. I'm not enriched hearing about the 5 billionth like strike on refugees in Gaza. I'm not growing from that as a person. It comes across as quite ineffectual, I agree. I don't understand what you're saying is everything. Lily Krem, you often have a problem understanding things, don't you? You ask a lot of questions. I take a look at your message logs. How many question marks do I find? About one per message. She's just dumb. No, it's not even she's dumb. Some people just like asking questions, not even in a bad faith way. Just like liking asking questions kind of way. But it's sidekick behavior. You have to start using exclamation points. Yeah, no kidding, Tux. Yeah, it's pretty frustrating. Are you covering the unsealed Trump docs? So, Emily, this is a perfect example of what I mean. Debate doesn't matter anymore. Like, how many Republicans day to day are you debating into being not a Republican? Okay, sure. Knowledge-wise, like, you present the information to them, they'll say, oh, you got that from MSNBC. That's fake news. There are no Trump docs, Jack Smith is a Hillary Clinton operative. I don't think it's purposeless in the sense like I think it's valuable to know. It's just this is the malaise, right? This is the difficulty. I'm only expressing frustration right now. Feels like you're being defeated. It's not defeatism in sense of like intended outcome. It's like application of skill and attention. It's what this feels defeatist. Okay. Let's round it about a little bit. We're going to learn. So you want like to learn? We want to grow as people. If you think I'm being defeatist, saying this feels defeatist comes across to me as patronizing. I'm just complaining about the job. It's the easiest job in the world, but what can I say? I like complaining. You saying like, I don't know, this seems doomer. Get permabanned is what I'm saying. You're being annoying. Like I am upset about this element of covering the news. It's exhausting and repetitive and intellectually unengaging. And you're like, I don't know if that's the correct tone for me as a viewer of your content. Okay. It's fine. I'm just complaining. I'm allowed to. It's legal for now. Guys, I think Vosh is in his I want to let the emotions flow state, not the I want the solution state. It's the classic, like, but the real trick to handling frustrated people is you have to say that to their face. Like, they have to complain, and then you're like, well, you could simply do X. And then they're like, okay, but I don't. Like, I just want to complain. And then you're like, oh, you're in the woman state where you only want support but not advice. Gotcha. There. And the trick is to do that in front of them. And then you've Do that to their face and you've got them. Classic bit. Classic bit. Anyway, it's just that it's that moment of frustration, you know. It's still good to learn about this stuff. Like, it does matter. I will say the degree to which it matters feels like much less than it might otherwise because of the uniformity of the misinformation on the other side. Like, it's not like it was when I started streaming where you could have those debates and arguments. Now it's literally just like, do you exist in reality or are you consuming Nazi propaganda 24/7? And it's very difficult to yoink people out of that. It's one of the reasons why I actually really enjoyed talking about self-help stuff, like confidence and social cues, because those are always useful and applicable, right? Like in that case, you're not providing the information because it relates to this like gigantic political event, which maybe things tip one side or the other, depending on like a marginal level of difference and how many people support this, that, the other. It's like immediately applicable, right? Like that feels a little more pointed, I think. You should do more of those segments. Well, you can't plan them. Sorry for the whining for a bit. I mean, I'm not, to be clear, I'm not actually sorry. What I'm saying is like, I acknowledge that my errant negativity might affect people in ways that I don't intend, and I don't want people to feel negative. You know, I was trying to be optimistic with the bit with Hungary and like the difficulty in backsliding. You know, like I do care about that. It's just sometimes you wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Look, I'm out of my favorite yogurt. Yeah, you get it. We get it. You're cool and aloof. Do I come across as aloof? I feel like I come across as pretty okay. You know, whatever. Maybe, you know, up here from streamer heaven. No yogurt, but your microbiome. I know. I want my microbiome. I want my gut bacteria to come back.